everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of Games My Mom Found. Why did I say 30 all weird? I do not know. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the sleep-deprived guest co-hosts with me tonight?
Going where no man has gone before, Stefan JD.
Going quickly to bed, Stuart Hughes.
And our special guest?
I'm Rick. I kind of don't even really know where I am right now.
Yes.
You get used Canada.
That's why I don't know.
Oh, do you want to give a quick introduction of where people might know you from, Rick?
Nobody knows me, but I do have my own. I do have my own show, which is actually gotten to the point where it's less popular than this one. But I'm the host of the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. You can find us at www.cggpodcast.com. We typically try to release on Tuesdays, but that doesn't always happen like this week. So if you follow us on Facebook, just do a search, Classic Gamers Guild. You'll find either our page or a group. Either one's fine. Just join them, and you'll find me there.
The group is really amazing too.
Oh, thank you.
The podcast is good, but the group is it's a really good group. It's also a healthy group. I'm in a few groups that are not healthy, but I use it to promote the podcast. But
yeah, I've been slowly filtering out the groups that I belong to, like kind of and then there were none style.
Oh, I'm in hundreds at this point, just because of promotion. But that's a whole nother thing. I have a problem. So, all right, before we get into the game that we're talking about, I want to give a quick shout out to another podcast called the Zach and Dean Geek Machine podcast. It's a podcast where if you're consumed by comic, gripped by gaming, or burning for beer, Zach and Dean will feed your obsession with discussion, reviews, and even quizzes. So if you get a chance, please check out their podcast. There'll also be a link in the show notes. And since I'm going to introduce this game, since none of us that are currently on the show actually picked this game for the show, we are playing Space Quest V: The Next Mutation.
Hey.
Why are we playing Space Quest V? I don't know. Actually, this was actually DJ's
Actually,
pick.
I am kind of curious about that. Why you started at Space Quest V? Since I understand at least you, I'm not sure about Stefan there, have never played the other games in the series.
None of us have.
This is true.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
If you have any questions, you may ask me because I'm moderately familiar with the rest of the series.
This was actually DJ's pick.
Yeah, it was one of I think this is the last leftover DJ pick.
Yeah, the other ones I had just combined. I had changed the game and the franchise. Like Star Fox 64, originally his pick was Star Fox Assault. I just changed Star Fox 64. So little things like that. But this is one since after we picked it for the show, we lost DJ a couple weeks later. But I'd already had gotten Rick to sign on for this. So I'm like, I wanted to leave. I didn't want to change it. And then I thought maybe we'd get DJ back for a guest on this, but I never talked to him since then, unfortunately.
I like saying we lost DJ like he's in a void somewhere.
It's called a work void. That's what it's called.
Yeah. I prefer that he's in a white void.
Did he just go AWOL, or did he just tell you guys?
No, he got extra more jobs and just couldn't do the balance of the show.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I ask a lot. So it's a lot that we do.
It's funny is since that we only had one show back then. Since then, we've added essentially 2 extra bonus episodes a month now.
Yeah, so far. Yeah, we do a movie
so
and
far,
we do a comic.
We're talking about a third one.
Yeah, so we do a lot.
We're quadrupling the amount of episodes. DJ's probably like, oh, thank fucking Christ.
Thank God I got off this show. Yeah, but if you're listening, DJ, I hope you're doing good. If you're
listening, DJ, fuck you. Space Quest V is awful.
Awful?
What?
Really?
I enjoyed this game. I was not expecting to enjoy it, but I actually had a lot of fun playing this weird. Well, I'm also a huge Trekkie. Huge ass Trekkie.
Oh, this is definitely the one to play then.
Oh, man. I mean,
the other games aren't like this in terms of the very heavy Star Trek parody.
Space point and click adventure games, right? They're just kind of more.
Yeah, they started at in the Parser era, and then they started as early as Space Quest 1 and 2 were in the AGI engine, Space Quest 3 in the SCI engine, and then 4, 5 were point and click. But the previous games were more just sort of like general sci-fi kind of. If they make fun of anything, it was more sort of tropes or a few like pop culture references. Whereas 5 was the first one that really just picked the target and just stuck with it. The way 5 is like, okay, we're Star Trek. we're going to do Star Trek. I compare it like how parody movies, they used to be things like Hot Shots or Airplane, and then like at some point they became more like, or sorry, I should say, I meant to say Top Secret in Airplane, and then and then they became more like Hot Shots, where they're like, we're Top Gun or we're Rambo, and then
I would say that this is like Star Trek Spaceballs is what it is.
Yes, that is actually also a much better earlier example for sure.
How I defined it in my head was, this is what everyone was worried the Orville was going to be like.
It's also kind of like Futurama too.
Yeah, that's how I
take that back, you son of a bitch.
Before we get too far, this game did come out in '93, published by Sierra, developed by Dynamix. I have no idea who Dynamix is, but just want to get that out there. So
sponsored by Sprint.
oh God, that was just okay. Throughout this game, you see advertisements for Sprint all over the damn place that don't fit, but because Sprint put money in, I'm assuming.
Well, that's kind of the humor. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I get that it was totally sponsored and everything, but that was actually kind of like funny at the time, just to see this total way into the future kind of setting, and then it's still like, this call brought to you by Sprint. It was actually kind of worked well into as being part of a joke in and of itself.
This game, because I was looking up to see like what Star Trek was going on around that time. Because I was like, I know Next Generation ended before '93, and this game actually came out in North America a month after Deep Space Nine came out.
Wow!
Like almost to the day. I think it was like a month and 2 days after Deep Space Nine.
Wow!
That's good timing though for what this is, because everything, like, like example, you get a ship early on, the ship you sit on, like in the captain's chair, it reminded me completely of Star Trek. Well, maybe that's because I watched way too much Star Trek. Hell, there's one of the enemy ships looks like a freaking Klingon bird of prey if you're a Trekkie.
Yeah.
There's also
actually go ahead.
I was gonna say, in addition to Sprint, there's also an AT&T joke in the game. Where somebody said, but it's not called AT&T, they call it TT&A.
I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, I think it's something along the lines of like, they're like, Sprint's way better, TT&A sucks, or something. Which is still true today.
Did anyone else catch that? Okay, so in the beginning of the game, you have to take a test, right?
Yeah.
And it's to be a space captain for a garbage truck?
Or just to be a space captain or something,
just a proficiency test.
Yeah, and in the background, I don't know if anyone caught it, but there's a dude who looks exactly like Worf.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, it's Worf.
This game is like sensory overload with references.
Yes, that is true. They just threw, especially that first section, they just threw everything in. There's like, you can see an alien is one of the students. You can see, you see Darth Vader fighting Obi-Wan just down the corridors at one point.
I didn't notice that.
You have a pet facehugger.
Yeah, that's right.
I love Spike. Spike was awesome.
Spike is great.
That's the
Spike Spiegel.
Spike is a little space hugger thing that you got to put in the jar and put the antacid in the jar to make him calm down.
Yeah, he kind of looks more like a Metroid than an alien hugger, face hugger.
Looks like you took the Metroid and put the face hugger together and just got got rid of the clearness of the Metroid.
I was trying to figure out if one of the mutations in the game was a reference to the Fly, because it looks exactly like Brendel Fly.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I was staring at it like it went by kind of quick, and I was like, "Was that fucking Brendel Fly?" In the middle of my Star Trek game.
There's a huge section of the game where you play as Roger Wilco's head on the Fly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a strange game. Especially for me.
Quick trivia segment. Does anyone know what Roger Wilco means?
No.
Really?
It's like kind of like Roger, just like how you close out a radio conversation.
Yep. Roger Wilco means received and will comply.
That's right. Yes.
Yep. That's actual procedural code, not like over and out, which is totally fake.
Is it really? I didn't know that part.
Yeah, over and out is actually contradictory messages. Over means I'm done talking, now you talk, and out means I'm done talking, don't respond.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a contradictory message. You'd never hear anybody in real life say over and out. It's like saying now it's your turn, okay, bye, and hanging up.
See the new things you learn on this show.
Yeah, and you never say repeat in procedural.
You
say again.
I did understand the context of Roger Wilco. I just forgot what Wilco stood for.
Yep, Wilco. That's like one of the few procedural codes that actually is just a small little acronym.
Yeah, that's cool.
Roger's like a historical phonetic word that we just never changed.
Mm.
Nice.
So was there anything that seemed a little bit confusing that you think might have been because this was the only game in the series that you played? Because they are very interconnected games within the series.
I mean, right out of the gate, it's like talking about how you saw the future and you're going to meet your wife, and there's some talk about like a kid or something, and it's just like I was like, whoa, boy.
I missed all that. I don't think I was paying attention.
It's like the very first line of the game, and I was like, oh shit. What the hell does this mean?
Yeah, when I started playing this, I'm like, why are we playing this? Because I mean, we don't usually play point and click adventure games ever. Like I've never played any of the Sierra games before this for this episode. Never had touched them before. Yeah, I wasn't.
I don't know why my voice cracked there. Really? You ever played Half-Life?
This account I played it on
really
PlayStation.
A point and click adventure though.
No.
Yeah, it's a Sierra game.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it is.
Man, why did my voice do the same thing now?
Because we're all talking like how old we were when Half-Life came out.
Oh, I didn't play Half-Life. Well, actually, here's a funny story. You brought up Half-Life. I actually didn't play Half-Life until I came to Minnesota for the first time to visit my girlfriend I met online. and her brother introduced me to Half-Life, burned a copy of the game for me to have and play it. I think it was burned a copy. I don't know. All I know is I played it for 5 minutes and never got anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You played the first part of that game. You're stuck on a tram for like 10 minutes, Mike. Would you give up halfway through the tram ride?
I wasn't a PC gamer. This is so.
It's like you're on the tram ride. I just love the idea of you being on that tram ride, just being like, "Well, I'm done. I'm out."
I did go back and play it later, and I played it on PS2.
Yeah, play Half-Life Blue Shift. That's the best.
But I really do want to play Half-Life someday. So if somebody wants to put it on the show eventually, I would be up for it.
I actually once went to a friend's barbecue, and I went there wearing my T-shirt with the Sierra logo on it. And this younger guy, who I totally didn't expect to recognize the reference, he was like, "Oh, hey, that's a really cool shirt. Is that Sierra?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's a good catch." And he's like, "Yeah, they did like Half-Life." I'm like, "Oh, you're a little young for me."
I always hated the Sierra logo because it does just look like it'd be on like a hiking gear. It doesn't look like a game company logo.
I grew up with it, so it means a lot to me. So I do really like it.
It's a nice logo. It just doesn't belong to like a game company.
Mm.
I'm in graphic design, so I have to notice these things.
Fair enough. I'll take your word for that.
I look at it and I think,
and agree to disagree.
I mean, there's some pretty bad logos out there, to be fair.
Oh yeah, that's true. I see enough of them in my type of work, but. Oh, back to the game. Like, so one thing, this game is we kind of mentioned a little bit, a point and click adventure where you have to do, in which I'm not familiar. You got to do go here, get an item. Sometimes make sure you have the right item. So when a certain event pops up, you can progress with the game.
Correct.
I mean, this is a point and click adventure game at its core.
Yep.
This is also a Sierra adventure game, which is fairly unique in that they both reward and deeply punish exploration and curiosity.
Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, but by this point, they've actually toned it down a little bit. Like the earlier games were just ridiculous because you would just do things like...
we played this game.
Yeah. One of the very, very famous examples in Space Quest, in fact, was one where you come across this screen where there's like a giant sheet of metal that looks like it could be hiding something. So if you try to move it, it turns out to be sharp and you cut off your arm and die.
Jesus.
And it's like, that's just from like wanting to know what's behind it. Like you're telling me that you want us to explore and investigate, then you kill us horribly for it.
There are so many ways to die in this game. There's actually a lot of fun little things they put in the game too. Like one time there's like a escape pod or something like on a planet. I don't remember the story to this game, but you're on a freaking planet and there's an escape pod, and if you go up and touch it, Roger will burn his hand and just scream in agony.
I actually had to look up multiple
touches like that. Yeah,
I looked up multiple times to see if Dynamics, the company that actually developed this game, I looked it up multiple times to see if they also made Siberia. I just kept forgetting. I was like, this game feels like Siberia. It just punishes the shit out of you for doing things that it expects you to do.
See, I played this whole game with a guide. I pulled up a guide and just read the guide and just did what it said. So I didn't experience the game the way you're supposed to.
But you were through the game in like an hour and a half.
Well, 2.5, yeah. Just because, but it didn't take me long. it's short. It's only an hour and a half. You know what to do.
Yeah, no, that's how a lot of these point and click adventures go. Especially the earlier ones, they are probably only about like 2 to 4 hours. If you know exactly what you want to do. So there's a lot of replayability because you can just breeze right through it in an afternoon. But if you don't know what you're doing, it could take like up to a month to figure everything out.
Yeah, there's some complicated little puzzles in this game that I would not have caught at all without reading what to do.
But you gotta do them all so that you can end up with your love interest, Wankmeister.
Oh, that's another thing. This game is full of just stupid, like, a lot of sexual references hidden around with things. Like, it just, like that one, I felt.
Hidden is a strong word.
Yeah, hidden is really necessary. If you're a
there's
child.
a robot named WD-40 who's like legitimately a like sex bot looking thing. And I think she's a gynoid.
Let me explain WD-40. I mean, there's probably a couple of layers of references to her, but basically in this context of Space Quest, what happens is in Space Quest 2, you steal a little whistle to get past a certain part. In Space Quest 3, they send in Arnold Schwarzenegger style Terminator after you to kill you because the company is like, well, that guy stole from us, so they send this guy to kill you. You go through the entire fourth game with that all over and done behind you. Then Space Quest 5, they sent WD-40, which is basically a female interpretation of an Arnold Terminator.
So Terminator T whatever from Terminator 3, the movie that everyone hates.
Kind of, but like less liquid steel.
Well, it is a Terminator, but in a sense, what you do in the game and how you fight it, it kind of feels more like Predator because you're in a jungle setting up little traps and hiding and everything.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure there's a lot of little layers to it as well. That is
straight up flies a Klingon ship too. Like it is 100% a Klingon ship.
100% of Birds of Prey.
Yeah. Actually, you guys are Trekkies, so what was the episode where Kirk has to go to that planet that's famous and he fights the monster?
Arena.
Arena.
Yeah, it's Arena, but I can't. Is it Gorin? It's something with a G, the name of the monster.
Yeah,
I think it is a Gorn.
Gorn. It's a Gorn.
Gorn.
Yeah, that it also reminded me of that as well.
Yeah.
That might have been what they were going for too. I mean, that didn't even dawn on me until right now. As you were saying it, I was thinking of a different part that we'll talk about shortly. But I did like that fight with the android.
Trouble with Turtles part, right?
Yes, that's where I was getting it. But I did like the fight when you're doing with WD-40. I liked how you stick a banana in the exhaust pipe is how you beat her in the end.
Yeah, you have like a bunch of shit, and it's everything you have looks like it would be the right thing, and it's like just a banana. And I actually got that right first try because I was like, well, all this shit is super useful. It's definitely going to be the banana. Like, that's the dumbest thing, so that's the solution. Even
though I know what to do, I died a lot on there trying to figure out how to do things, how to get her to go up to push the rock down. I had a very hard time with this part. I didn't understand what I was doing. I've never played a game like this, so I'm just completely confused.
It's not necessarily a lack of experience either. A lot of these puzzles are kind of designed to be that you have to know exactly what the designer is thinking at that moment.
Yeah, Rick is 100% right in that they punish you for doing things that they expect you to do.
I was watching the video.
Because I was sitting there like, at that point I was like, well, the banana is the dumbest thing, so obviously it's banana. But that ends up like biting you later where you're supposed to use actual things, not dumb shit. Like, oh yeah, no. At this point in the game, you're supposed to be a smart person. But in the beginning, yeah, banana.
I mean, like I know that, this is since it's part of a series, you're supposed to kind of know what's going on, but I mean, again, I was dropped into this game like I'm like, well, what's going on? Like the whole fact that people talk about how he's supposed to be like this special cadet who saved the world or something in the earlier games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you
presume he's dead.
You're a janitor. You start in the first game as a janitor, and your entire ship gets slaughtered, and the aliens steal the star generator, which is like this giant. Not intended to be, but it can be used as a weapon of mass destruction. And the only reason why you survived the assault was because instead of doing your job, you were taking a nap in a broom closet at the time.
That fits.
So the game begins with you coming out of the closet to hear the alarms and everything, and then you find out that everyone's dead.
Someone described this game to me as it's like if Wesley Crusher was a superhero. Like it's Wesley Crusher, but it's like in his own head. Like it's what Wesley Crusher imagines himself as a superhero being.
That's an interesting thing to say.
It's just
it makes sense.
Because I mean, like you're kind of played up to be this like smooth talking guy, but I mean, you're like, you cheat your way into getting a fucking garbage barge, essentially. I mean, not even essentially, you get a barge. Like, it gives you a giant barge.
Yeah.
That's your shit.
Well, it's funny
great too, the little timing of that scene when you're being flown to your ship, and there's like a giant, really cool looking spaceship that it's flying you towards, and then it just kind of turns over and gives you the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
That was, I didn't even think about it, that the ship does look like a vacuum cleaner. Huh.
Yeah.
Good point. Wow. I mean, another thing, like, I would have never, if it wasn't for the guide, I would not have known to talk to the different people to tell them what to do. Like, when you were going to a new planet, you had to, put in the coordinates, pick light speed, and then when you got close, pick the slow regular speed, and then orbit. Like, I would not have known. I would not have, because, as a gamer nowadays, I'd be like, okay, I should just go there and it should be it. There shouldn't be all the little things involved.
I got a lot of trash.
There's also
a lot of trash in this game.
in terms of the spaceship looking like a vacuum cleaner, there's kind of like a double entendre to the name of it. It's called the Eureka, which is number one, the name of a vacuum cleaner brand, and number two can also be like a audible pun on Eureka.
Also a very good show.
Yeah.
I'm
not familiar with the show.
that was perfectly timed.
It was not rehearsed nor scripted. Just what happens on here.
Mike and I also both love Eureka.
I just watched it recently. I loved it.
Same. Yeah. It was because we talked about it in an early episode. I was like, I'm gonna go back and watch Eureka now.
But one thing that I did laugh a lot when I was starting to fall in love with this game, because this game did grab me at one point and I didn't want to stop playing, is when you get to the space bar. We mentioned earlier, it's essentially a whole riff on a famous Star Trek episode, The Trouble with Tribbles, which is one of the best episodes.
Probably the most famous Star Trek episode.
Most of the original series, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Deep Space Nine, there's an episode where they go back in time and they go on that episode and they put in the crew from Deep Space Nine in there and make it fit. It's amazing.
Deep Space Nine was a little bit of a mess.
You are wrong, sir.
I love it. I like it a lot.
It's amazing. It's one of the best. It's one of my favorites of all of them.
Really?
Next Gen, Deep Space Nine.
I'm next
original Enterprise, the original, and then anything but Voyager. So yeah,
Picard forever until the new show comes out, and then Picard forever.
Probably. All right, but when you get to the space bar, I was laughing. I don't remember if it was during the space bar part, but there's a part where you ask your engineer to do something.
We did time this well. Come to think of it, we did time this episode well because Picard was just announced not too long ago, and the trailer just came out not too long ago.
But I did like it. There's a part when he's like, "I'm an engineer, not a doctor," or something. Yeah. I'm engineer, but not something. I just started laughing because I knew exactly what the whole, the original Star Trek joke from Bones. I'm not a plant guy. I'm a doctor, or whatever. However the hell it goes.
I'm a doctor, not a fool.
He's an engineer. It's not Bones. It's Cliffy, who's Scotty, essentially.
Yeah, but it was that scene. But yeah, I liked. And then he gets arrested when you're at the bar for fighting with other people.
Yeah, doesn't he? He starts the fight.
Yep, he starts punching them because I forget why. They tell you why a little bit
because
later,
they called it a garbage scow.
Yeah,
but which is actually correct.
Yeah,
but he took offense to it.
But I do love the way you rescue him, though. You take the little alien Spike you have, that's definitely not a face hugger, and you put him on the bars. He pees on the bars to open the bars.
Mm.
I was cracking up.
I like the fact that when you first find Spike, one of the puzzles is that he's leaking acid everywhere, so you actually have to put him to the tank and drop antacids into it.
Yeah,
to calm him down.
It's just, stuff that I would never have gotten if it wasn't for having a guide. And I did. There is a part that I thought of Stu 100% right away. So when you're in the bar, and this little salesman guy comes up and he starts talking to you, and I don't remember all the things he's trying to sell you. One of the things he's trying to sell you are Chernobyl cups because they'll make your arms glow or make your wrist glow. And I'm like, Stu, I love this.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, oh, what the fuck? Your Chernobyl reference in the middle of this.
Yeah. Oh, and since we're talking about Chernobyl, I did just find out recently that sarcophagus is a real thing, by the way, which I did not know recently.
I think we talked about that in Stalker.
Yeah, but I wasn't paying enough attention, I guess. That was there, but
yeah, well, it was a real thing. It's being replaced now.
It is replaced by now.
Not quite.
Oh, okay. I was watching a documentary about it.
They're working on it.
Okay. There's your
being
updates.
replaced. It's the thing that's going to replace it is being built as we speak. Ukraine just keeps running out of money. But don't worry about it or anything. But
yeah, it's only
worry
destroy,
about
it'll only
it.
mess up Europe.
I'm not saying donate money to Ukraine, but somebody please give Ukraine some fucking money.
Did anyone else, when they were commanding the ship, did they kind of hear in their voice like like what's his name? Schiff from Futurama, like it's time
Kif?
for my Kif.
No, that's not Kif. That's fuck. I was just talking about him the other day.
Wait,
Zap Brannigan.
Zap Brannigan, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
did anyone else kind of hear that voice in your head when he was giving commands?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy looks like Zap Brannigan.
Well, they're
a
both
lot.
parodies of Captain Kirk, essentially.
Yeah.
I have a very sexy learning disability. What's it called, Kit? Sexlexia.
I mean, that's.
Are you referring to Roger Wilco's voice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't, just because they actually took a little bit of a step backwards in Space Quest 5, because Space Quest 4 actually featured full voice acting, so we actually heard what Roger Wilco was supposed to sound like.
What did he sound like?
We should have played 4.
Fuck you, DJ.
4 would have been even more incomprehensible if it's the only game that you've ever played, because it does like full-on references throughout the entire series.
I assume that's the one where like your son and your wife and everything are showing up.
There is that too, yeah. But it's a time travel one, so you actually visit Space Quest 1 as well as some of the future sequels.
Which really funny to start with that, actually.
Yeah.
Start with it, and as we play the rest of them, we slowly understand the series.
Work backwards. You started with 5, now do 4, then 3, then 2, then 1.
Oh, they'll
I kind of want to
probably.
make somebody do that. Like, I have a friend that's never played Mass Effect. I kind of want to make him play Mass Effect 3, 2, and then 1.
But after he plays 3, you'll hate the series. Like, you won't want to play 2 or 1.
3 is an amazing game, and everyone needs to shut the hell up.
Oh,
I'm sorry. The last 1% of the game isn't that great. I'm sorry. 99% amazing, and then 1%.
Oh, and something that I didn't know that I found out recently was, as I was getting ready to do this episode, is someone had mentioned that there was the DRM that they used back in the day for this game was you didn't have the coordinates for where to go. You had to get them from a sheet of paper that came with the box.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That you couldn't copy because it was on a red sheet of paper, and if you copied it, it would just become all black or something like that.
In this case, there were a lot of Sierra games that did the red. There's a red print, so it came with like a little red cellophane, so you can see what's underneath it. In the case of Space Quest 5, it was actually a little bit of a space tabloid, and in the background there's like coordinates
cool.
on the star map. But it would be so. It would be so dark that if you tried to photocopy it, you would not be able to see it very well.
Was this
really
the tabloid where
and stuff? That's cool. I like that a lot, actually.
Was this the tabloid where like it would say random things on it, like they made us get drunk and wear farmers' clothes or something like that?
I think that sounds familiar.
Like Two-Headed Baby or something. I read something on this.
That sounds like the tabloid from the first Men in Black movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
It's a strange game.
Well, we also say that Roger Wilco is a spoof on Kirk, but there actually is a Kirk in the game.
Oh, yes. You're talking about your villain, the villain, the villain, essentially?
Yeah, he's a toupee-wearing villain, and instead of being named James T. Kirk, he's Rames T. Quirk.
It was not particularly veiled in the slightest.
Yeah. And he's also
like
a womanizer and an asshole, so it kind of fits with it.
Yeah. The game took a weird turn where it's like, all right, fuck Star Trek. Let's go. Clearly, they were big Deep Space Nine fans.
Well, he's the one that hates you. He's the one that doesn't want you get your own ship, and then he's also the one that you find out later on he's doing some back end deal with some other alien. It looks like from ET. I didn't understand what the hell was going. Was that a reference to anything in the previous games?
No, a lot of the story, a lot of the plot in this one doesn't really go back. There's a lot of references to the two previous games. That Quirk is an entirely new character who's never appeared before.
I thought it was really weird that essentially you are playing the Captain Kirk parody, and then when the actual Captain Kirk parody shows up, he's like Pike. So weird.
That's a reference that not everybody's gonna get, but
like any of the other Starfleet captains. If you've ever watched any episode of Star Trek, all the Starfleet captains are assholes. Every single one of them is an evil asshole.
Yeah,
that's true.
So Quirk is more of the Zap Brannigan type.
Yeah.
Like, he's someone who I definitely would hear now as Zap Brannigan's voice.
That'd be great if they introduced him singing Rocket Man.
But one thing I did think was funny, when you leave the bar, after you rescue your Cliffy, the whole bar blows up. I'm assuming because of what you did with the alien when he peed all over the place.
When all the space monkeys get out.
Oh, the space monkeys probably did it. Yeah, I forgot about the space monkeys.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know if they blowed it up. I don't know if they blowed it up. It's so confusing because you release all the space monkeys and then you're like, we gotta get out of here, and then the place just blows up, and I was like, did I miss something important?
Well, they reproduce at such a rapid rate when you dump them into alcohol that they basically filled the space bar to over capacity, and just exploded it.
Yeah.
Huh. See, this is why I'm glad you had you on. Even though all three of us beat the game, we had no fucking idea what was going on. We're just
it's completely nonsensical. I honestly don't remember half the plot.
Well, yeah, no, that definitely happens. Thankfully, I actually played through the games like many times over back in the day. So there's still a lot of this which I just kind of, I wouldn't have caught the first time, but playing it over and over, a lot of things make a little bit more sense.
I kept going back and forth. I think I need to play this game again because I kept going back and forth there. Like there was a point very early on where I turned on the game. And that's pretty rare for me to like actively turn on a game and hate it. And I can tell you exactly what it was. Was
it the cleaning?
No, it was when you sit down in the captain's chair and it farts. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then I realized it farts every time you sit down and I was like,
because it really is just the chair.
I was like, this is gonna be so fucking annoying.
I kept laughing at that joke, even though I don't usually like jokes like that, but for some reason I kept laughing at that joke. Oh, I did play this game entirely with headphones on too, which is not normal me.
That is, two very rare experiences. Mike played this game with sound for once, which is you needed because every sound effect in this game is a reference and a joke, which is actually pretty impressive.
I was laughing most of this game. I was laughing after the WD-40 fight. I was laughing all the time. Like I enjoyed the game after that.
There's a pretty early on segment where you like run into a door and you straight up make the Homer dough noise. And I was surprised.
It happens a couple times actually. They play the dough.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, did they just straight up steal that from Simpsons?
Oh, I was wondering about that too. It sounded very, very familiar. Like exactly.
It sounded very convincing. Like it sounded like Homer's voice.
I think it sounded like it was just ripped straight from Simpsons.
Yeah.
It very well could have been.
Yeah.
I think
don't know if that would have flown today, but 93 was Wild West, I guess.
I think my favorite little joke was when you have to go to a planet that looks exactly like Tatooine from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little like city.
Yeah,
it had two suns, and then it had a little spaceport that looked like Mos Eisley. But you run into mutanoids that there's like some soup or something that transform them into mutants.
Yeah. Soup.
And one of them assaults you, and you have to play this little back and forth clicking mini game where he wants to spit on your face, but you have to dodge it
in like a greenhouse.
I died so many times on that fight. So many times.
It's so ridiculous.
So the game straight up turns into what's that game? Dragon's Quest or whatever.
Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair. Yeah, that's the game. Straight up turns into Dragon's Lair for like 5 minutes.
It's terrible.
That was the part. I actually did really well at that part because I played Dragon's Lair. I know what to expect. It's all straightforward.
That part did have one of my favorite. I think it was a reference. I'm pretty sure it was after you get rescued by the other one of your crew members. I can't remember his name. The squid-looking guy. Anybody?
Goop.
Well, it was like Goop or
Drool.
Goop or Droop or what?
Drool.
That's it.
Got it. But he makes a comment like, "I was almost dog meat." And I don't know if it was a Fallout reference, but I started laughing as it was.
Oh,
and that came to my head.
This is before Fallout.
This predates Fallout, unless I'm not sure if Dogmeat ever appeared in Wasteland, but this would not have been a Fallout reference.
Oh, okay. Maybe Dogmeat.
Don't think Dogmeat appeared in Wasteland.
You never know.
Maybe this is where Dogmeat came from. I hate Fallout now.
I joined the club, but no, I mean that did crack me up though, and I was trying to take a picture of it and send it to Stuart, but the text moves quickly in this game, so if you can,
it flies by.
You don't have a lot of time, and then again, I after that part, I was getting more into the game. The next part that you go to is you go to another planet called Thrakis, which is weird as hell. But that's where you find out that the soup had ended up on the Goliath, which is the ship piloted by the Kirk wannabe.
James T. Quirk.
And they all get infected and start getting mutated. You get like a communication SOS thing, or you see something, the meanwhile, and everyone's turning into, yellow mutants.
Yeah, that's the part where the there's the fly segment earlier.
No, the fly segment later.
Is that later?
Yeah.
During that segment on when they're all turning into goop, though, I think that's when the brindle fly shows up. And I was like, okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're pulling me back in. Brindle fly is what Jeff Goldblum turns into in The Fly. A horrible, disgusting monster, essentially.
Oh, okay.
That's like melting in half fly, half Jeff Goldblum.
That planet was weird. The whole jungle planet was just strange. But, I mean, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I just followed what the guide said. But I did, and that's the part with the escape pod where I guess you touch it, you die or something.
You burn your hand.
Yeah.
Which is a death, right?
I don't think so. I think you just burn it and he just yelps.
Oh. I didn't do it. I just did what the guide said, and I don't remember what the guide said. But that's the part where you find the girl, Wankmeister.
And she gets gooped.
Yeah, she gets gooped, and then you guys almost fall off the edge, or the edge of the ledge, and then she ends up she's holding on to you, she pulls her pants down, which again goes to the humor of this game. And you have to hand her the lab coat that you grab from inside the escape pod or you'll die.
She pulls her pants down and you fart in her face.
But the funny thing is, the interesting thing is that we were saying before about how you have to do exactly what the developers wanted you to do, you still have the really long stick from your WD-40 fight in your inventory at that time. And you cannot use that. You have to use the jacket.
First thing I thought of was give her the stick. Don't give her the stick.
That's
a reference that no one's gonna get.
Nope, I didn't get it. Maybe Sam
will.
Stick.
Sam will definitely get it. Give him the stick. Don't give him the stick.
She actually has a pretty comedic moment where she gives you the what is it called? The generator or whatever. And he's like, "Oh my God, you're a genius!" And she's like, "I know."
Oh, the warp, just a computer cap.
Yeah.
I turned on this game very quickly, and slowly over time, it started winning me back.
And then you got to put her in cryo freeze, and that was also funny. I guess you can cook her if you do it wrong. You can microwave her or something.
Yeah,
you can. Seriously?
Yeah, sure.
If you set it to the wrong time.
Oh my God!
You have to set
if you read the instructions, you have the way you figure that one out is you read the instructions, and it gives you the time setting for saving I forget what her specific position is, but it's like how to freeze a science officer or something like that.
She's an ambassador, right?
Ambassador, that's right. How to freeze an ambassador.
Wankmeister.
It's so stupid.
It's so dumb.
Oh God. I normally don't like this type of humor, but I was laughing constantly at this game. I don't know why.
I think had I played this game I think DJ played this game when he was a kid. Had I played this game when I was a kid, I probably would have loved it. It probably would have been one of those series that I just had such a wonderful nostalgic love for. Playing this game now, I was like, this humor sucks. It's so childish, but I like childish humor, but I was like, this is so over the top, where it's just almost, like I said earlier, it's like sensory overload.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 jokes on screen all at once.
Oh, but then, yes.
I'd say it's a mixed bag, because there's I don't know, it's not straight up slipped on a banana peel type humor. There's
literally a banana.
Kind of is.
Literally kill a robot with a banana.
But there's a part where they're discussing how they're going to save the galaxy or something. And Roger wants to hear what they're talking about, so he just plants his face next to the glass.
Yeah,
and is sliding down it outside the office.
That was funny. I was like, yeah, I'm totally on board for that. But it's in the fart jokes, and I was like, oh come on, this is the Minions.
It's few and far.
It goes back and forth. It goes back and forth between the dumbest, most childish jokes to genuinely funny bits. I was like, damn it, game. I was like, every time I'd be pulled out of it, something else funny would happen and I'd be pulled back in. It's almost impressive how many jokes are in it. So even if you hate one, there's 20 more around the corner that might make you chuckle.
Yeah,
that's kind of everything about the game too. Because even with the references, any one thing has anywhere from 2 to 5 references at the same time. So even if you miss one, there's something else that you can probably recognize.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, and then after you do that part what we were just talking about with you get after the Jungle Planet. Where am I? You go to the part that I hated the most in this game. So something happens to your ship. Cliffy ends up outside, and he ends up getting lost. And you have to go downstairs, get into the stupid pod. Oh God, I died about 5 times in this pod trying to line up, grab Cliffy, bring Cliffy back in. Oh, I was getting frustrated.
I was trying to figure out if there was a way I could just leave Cliffy to die. Like, you know what, Cliffy, you're not.
You're not really neat. Well, I guess he does something after this. Yeah, he helps you some with.
He's your chief engineer. He's your Scotty. Yeah, you got to save Scotty.
Hey, if you're an Enterprise, all you need is 2 people. Apparently,
that's all you need is Scotty. He was a fucking war hero. Dude was missing a finger.
Okay, but yeah, no. And then we come up to Stuart's favorite part so far of this game is the genetics lab, and that's where when you teleport down, you turn into a fly or partly a fly.
Yeah, you turn into Rhythm. Kind of. Your head goes on a fly body, and your body gets a fly head.
Yeah, it goes in the garbage can.
I found that part charming.
It was okay. I mean, I didn't have a problem because I knew because I was just reading what to do. Where you had to go inside as a fly and do a few things.
The game itself was fucking impossible. But I found the story of that part charming, where it's like, all right, we're gonna do. I wasn't expecting the fly to show up. I wasn't expecting
more references.
Expecting a fly reference in here. Yeah, I was like, okay, it's gonna be Star Wars, Star Trek. It's some other dumb stuff. It's gonna be like a parody of Star Trek and a parody of the parodies of Star Trek. And then the fly shows up. I'm like, all right, we're switching gears here. Okay, what are they doing?
So strange. That part also kind of was a reference. I felt like. I mean, there are Star Trek episodes with the transporter. They talk about how the transporter things have happened.
There's so many episodes of Star Trek with a fucking transporter.
yes.
Like 20% of the episodes the problems are solved with the transporter.
Oh, but there was a funny thing.
They foreshadow it quite a bit through the game too, because a lot of times previous to this, when you use the transporter, there's things go wrong with the transporter, and I forget exactly what they were, but you'll teleport in, you'll be a little bit weird. I think I think maybe your body parts are misplaced or something like that. Then
that's right.
Again, you give out that and then they teleport you back away and bring you back in, and then you're fine. But they do allude to a lot of the teleportation fails.
Oh, and in this game, you can click on different things, but if you click on yourself, like by accident when I was trying to hit the transporter, for example, and say, hey, we're the family game. So you can say you can arrange it so many times it doesn't help or something like that.
So I have a question, Rick. When the teleporter messes up, and I think what's his name says that he's going to program WD-40 to like punch you every once in a while. Is it WD-40 messing with the teleporter?
I don't think it necessarily is. I mean, I'm sure that you could probably, have just sort of like a personal headcanon or fan theory that she might be, but I don't think it's ever really been said that that's or alluded to that that's exactly what's happening.
Okay, because I was like, I bet it's her that's doing this.
That would turn into like a good guy, right? Like
she's reprogrammed.
She's reprogrammed, yeah. I thought that was really weird. I was like, okay, I guess WD-40 is just on the ship with us now. It's just literally this Terminator robot.
Yeah, because that's what you do with Terminator robots. You have them join on your side. I mean, that's what you did in Terminator movie.
Game, WD-40 would have died at the end and gave the thumbs up. that would have made this one of my favorite games if that happened. I would have forgiven all the rest of the problems I had with this game.
Just that spoiler alert.
If there was a Terminator 2 thumbs up at the very end, I would have been like, yeah, okay.
I've never seen all of Terminator 2.
Fucking Christ, Mike.
Well, damn it, Mike.
It's only the best action movie ever made, ever.
I've seen most of it, but I've never seen the ending part you're talking about. I've never gotten that far.
What would make you stop watching it?
I don't know. I think I just always caught it randomly on TV here and there, but I never sat down and watched the entire movie. So.
I thought the movie was pretty fun, and then fucking the rose scene where he pulled the lever action shotgun out of the box of roses, and I was like, "Fuck yes, this is the best movie ever."
Did you catch the reference there of Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
It's
I was one of the rare kids that saw Terminator 1 before I saw Terminator 2, and so that part was like, I had that moment of like, this is complete shock.
I've seen all of Terminator 1, just never and Terminator 3, and Terminator Salvation.
You've only seen the worst Terminators.
1 was great.
1 was great, yeah.
3 I like too.
There's somebody out there that's only seen Salvation and Genesis, and that's all they know about the Terminator
Never
franchise.
seen Genesis yet.
But don't do it.
And then we get to the last part of the game, which is when this game kind of takes a very big change. And
the beloved franchise, Terminator sure stops making good movies around Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Terminator 3 was all right, but
I liked it. But... All right, back to Space Quest.
2 good games, 2 good movies.
And then you go down to Goliath, which I thought this part was just, I didn't really like it that much. I mean, at first I thought it was kind of cool. You got to sneak by the guards. You're going on the enemy ship, and it felt like Metal Gear in a very, very bad version. But
we have very different ideas of what Metal Gear is.
the vents is what killed me, man. The freaking vents, you got to go. I used the guides. I knew exactly what to do. But when you got to get out of the elevator and run up the elevator shaft, clicking, I was just clicking, trying to make them climb, and then go into another vent. Oh, that was irritant.
Yeah, there's a lot of quick saving, reloading, save states.
Oh
because,
yeah.
Spoiler alert! I don't have a fucking MDOS, so I couldn't play it on that.
Well, I just saved whenever I didn't use. I bought the game on GOG. I wasn't using DOSBox, but I could just save when. I mean, the game was you save whenever you need to.
That's right. It was on GOG.
Yeah, even in the original version, you can save whenever.
Oh, you pretty much have to.
You couldn't play this game otherwise. I mean, you would,
somebody out there beat this game without saving, and that person's a fucking lunatic. But
the speedrun.
It's probably DJ. DJ probably did it. DJ, if you're listening to the podcast, write in and tell us if you beat Space Quest 5 without saving.
Sierra themselves would always tell the players save early, save often.
Mm-hmm.
That was their motto. They'd said like, you cannot win our games if you don't save your game constantly.
Yeah. Sage advice.
Pretty much have to do that for every Sierra game.
Mm-hmm.
That never ended.
I kind of want to play
Until
Space Quest 4. But we'll see if that ever happens. It won't be on the show. I can almost guarantee you 4 and 6 will not be on this show ever, unless this one does amazing. So unless you guys really like
you
this
want to hear us play more
we're not coming back.
Games, listen to this episode. And if you're not listening to this episode, then I don't know. I guess fuck off.
But so as you get through all the vents, I did like it when you get caught when you take out something or do something, and then you get caught because you're right underneath the bridge. Someone grabs you, and I did like that part.
Let's play King's Quest instead.
I wouldn't mind. I know Rick's a fan of King's Quest.
No, King's Quest is one of my lesser favorites of the Sierra series, but just quickly going back to what that moment you're talking about where you're captured just underneath the bridge, it's actually kind of funny because the whole purpose of this thing is that you need to disable their shields. So when you're crawling through the thing to find how to disable it, you come across it, and it's literally just like a light switch that says shields on or off.
Okay. I was at the point where I wasn't paying much attention to this game, and I played this a week ago, so I don't remember as well.
I forgot about a Sierra game. You don't have to bleep this out if we decide to add it in here, but I totally forgot about a Sierra game that we need to play on this fucking podcast. Phantasmagoria.
I don't know what that is.
That would be fun.
Yeah, we've got to play Phantasmagoria.
Yeah, that would be fun.
You know what to do.
Just bleep out this part of the podcast.
Share and think and put it on the list.
That's actually one of the ones I've not played ever. But if you ever do want somebody, there's people I can put you in touch with that know that game and love it. So
okay, I might have that.
We'll put it on the list. We'll bleep it out. We're leaving it out. Now we'll see.
I can guarantee you probably won't be bleeped out, just to warn you.
It won't be bleeped out because you don't know how to bleep things out yet. That's why it won't be bleeped out.
And this is going to be a fast edit. This should have been released 24 minutes ago at the time of this recording, so it will not be.
Sorry, everyone. We all got fucking destroyed this weekend. I got bit by a dog.
There've been occasions where our show has been late, including this week. It's going to be the case, but thankfully, there's not really people who are waiting to hear our show, so it's never really that big of a deal.
I don't think we've talked about it on any episodes, but for whatever reason, like whenever we have issues getting to a recording, it's never just one of us. It always syncs up, where it's like 2 or 3 of us will all have trouble, or like I think there was one point where. Was there one point where like all 4 of us were like, we got to move this back.
Yeah, it's like our podcast period. We're all in sync.
We're all in sync. Whereas like I was fucking exhausted as shit yesterday, and I wasn't gonna be able to do it. And Stefan had to work late. And it's just like
the worst one.
Oh no, I wasn't exhausted yesterday. Yesterday I was in the middle of
you were fine. You had no power.
Storm.
Our worst recording was when we did Mega Man. That's when I was in Chicago. I don't live in Chicago. I was on hotel Wi-Fi. Oh, it was just everything went wrong that week, and we tried for 3 different times to record, and we had power outages on your end. Stefan was busy doing things. I mean, things just kept happening every single day, and I'm on vacation trying to think, okay, we're gonna record now. Oh, nope, not today. All right, tomorrow. Oh, it was.
Let this be a lesson to all of our listeners. Don't move to Virginia Beach.
All right, but I think we should start wrapping up.
Okay. Actually, a fucking power, like one of the big transformers out here got struck by lightning and exploded. So that's
wow.
why my power went out.
And then back to Space Quest 5. So near the end, there's some stuff happens. I mean, you end up fighting you end up actually finally getting back into your ship after you teleport the mutoids back into human, and the James T. Quirk guy ends up going to another ship. I know it's not, but you fight the blob finally. Like the whole, it turns into a big mutant blob, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And you actually get to shoot something for the first time, because throughout this game you can pick your two officers, you can ask them to do stuff, and you have the option to shoot, and you never have a reason to, and you finally get a reason to shoot. It was I was happy. I like that final part where you suck in the big blob, and then you have to run around your ship, and the blob is getting bigger and bursting off the garbage things. I couldn't figure out what to do, even though I was reading a guide. And you got it. I like that part. That was interesting.
So and you get Wankmeister, which sounds dirty as shit, but you get Wankmeister. Is Wankmeister Roger's like official wife in the series, or is she just some other chick? Okay.
In 2 games, in Space Quest 4, it's revealed at the very end that she's your wife, or your future wife. So you haven't actually officially met her yet. You just see your son shows you your son who traveled back in time to find you, thus causing the entire Space Quest 4 to happen. Finally, by the end, you ask about, well, if you're my son, then who's your mom? Who's my wife? And where is she? Blah blah blah. And all he'll tell you is that he shows you a picture, hologram, to show you what she looks like, and gives you her name, and that's it. He says, I can't tell you any more than that.
To be fair, that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
I can't tell you anything about her except what she looks like and what her name is. Okay.
But it's weird because the pictures that they show you looks nothing like what you would imagine she would be from this game. Like I don't really know how to describe it. If you Google it, just or something like that, it shows you the hologram of her, and sort of like, that's not who I would imagine that Wankmeister from Space Quest 5 would ever really dress up as. But so yeah, then in Space Quest 5, as you know, it begins with you meeting her, who she doesn't know who you are, and this game is about you trying to win her over, because you need to, because your son, between the two of you, saves your life in the 4th game. That's why if anything happens to Wankmeister, you get game over, because now you won't be saved in Space Quest 4.
To be fair, she was only a Wank journeyman back then, so.
So does your son have to go back in time because he has to stop Android 18? Is that what happened?
I hate you, Stefan.
It wasn't even me this week. I wasn't even thinking of Dragon Ball. I was thinking of that shitty David Carradine movie.
Off topic, but I did look up that Phantasmagoria thing, or however you pronounce it.
Phantasmagoria?
Oh yeah, we definitely have to do this crazy bullshit on the show at some point.
I can't believe I hadn't thought of it before.
It's terrible. It just looks horrible, but...
Well, there's one game, if there's one other Sierra game that I really want you guys to play, it goes back a bit, so I don't know if you like typing text adventures. But it's a Sierra game, so you still have graphics, but you got to type your commands like open door, get item, and that sort of thing. But I'd like you guys to try playing King's Quest IV, The Perils of Rosella, just because King's Quest is not my favorite series, but it is based on a lot of fairy tale references. And King's Quest IV is when they kind of go a little bit more outside of fairy tales and more into sort of more pop culture references, like a lot of Wizard of Oz. And there is a moment where they reference Pinocchio by having you swallowed by a whale. And I would really like to hear you guys talk about a part where someone's swallowed by a whale.
Yeah,
us and put it on the list, Mike.
What?
Oh, there's that picture of Phantasmagoria.
Yep.
Yeah, it gets weirder than that.
It looks like it belongs in a porno, a very weird porno, but not.
That's a good way to describe Phantasmagoria. It looks like it belongs. It definitely doesn't, but it looks like it belongs in a porno.
All right, you guys have any? Before we move on to listener questions, do you have any last things you want to say about Space Quest 5? I actually asked him questions.
Really? I'm surprised you have questions.
Okay, we're gonna go on to questions. First question I have. This is actually from a Sierra group that they have for Sierra games. I found because of course I did, and
hate us.
Probably from Joe Musashi. Odd choice for your first Sierra game. Why'd you start with 5 and not the original game?
We didn't
I
fucking
got
need
no
to.
idea why we started with 5 because DJ picked it and he's not here to tell me why.
I agree with you, Musashi. This was a weird choice.
I guess because you guys are Star Trek fans. I think this is probably, and I think because DJ seems to have had some personal attachment to it, he might have recommended this one because of those two things.
Knew we were Star Trek fans.
Oh,
no,
okay.
We never got that far.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Mike was a Star Trek fan, actually.
No, because we had actually picked this game for the show back in right after episode 12.
Yeah, this was a very early thing.
Yeah, so we didn't really. I mean, and then we lost DJ at episode 15. So yeah, no, our Star Trek love was not public. Well, not public in this podcast till later.
Well, I'll tell you something that would make this fairly interesting for Space Quest fans is because Space Quest 5 tends to be one of the more polarizing installments of the series. There's a lot of people who don't like it and a lot of people who think it's their favorite. So it's kind of
who think it's their favorite.
I caught that too. I was like,
there's a lot of people who don't like it and a lot of people who are wrong.
Sorry, I did not mean that literally. Like they are confused into thinking it. There are those whose opinion is that it is one of, if not the best in the series, and there are a lot of people who think that it is one of the worst. And so it's kind of interesting to hear from people who just play it now to see what everyone thinks about it.
I wonder how many people played Space Quest 5 and only Space Quest 5.
I know 2 of them. I know 3 of them. They're on the show.
I know 2 of them. Not counting yourself there.
And to be fair, DJ didn't really like a lot of genres in video games. Like he hates first-person shooters. He hates survival horror. He hates Fallout. Yeah,
everyone hates Fallout. Should be hated. That first game.
DJ had a sweeping hatred of most kinds of games.
What did you like?
RPGs.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes, he liked 3D platformers, RPGs. So, yeah.
Pretty much just Banjo-Kazooie.
Fucking Banjo-Kazooie. All right, and that reference that I did talk about with the DRM, that was thanks to Jeff Flynn, one of our Overbloodies. So I want to give him a quick shout out for letting us use that. I was going to do as a question, but it ended up coming up. And I do have actually a few questions from the Classic Gamers Guild group. So I do want a couple of those I want to read out. One from Jess Lie. I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, or this person's name wrong.
I think that's right.
Okay. Do the jokes still hold up? I think so. I was still laughing my ass off, and I don't even like these jokes like this.
Some of the jokes hold up.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, some of them hold up. It's not like Airplane or Top Secret, like we mentioned earlier, where, I mean, if you go back and watch Top Secret now, it's still almost every joke in that movie just hits hilariously, except for like one.
Never seen it.
You should watch it. Do you like Airplane?
No.
Yeah. What the fuck, Mike?
A lot of like a huge amount of Space Quest 5's jokes are referential, so a lot of it's just really going to depend on if you understand the references.
I think part of it. I mean, like this.
The reason why I just screamed just now because the image that I put in the chat just popped up, scared the shit out of me. So I was like, "What the?" And the image
that you put in the chat scared the shit
out
of you.
I know, it scared me because I wasn't expecting all some pop up. And the image I found, I'm not going to post it. But if you're listening to the show, if you search Phantasmagoria and you look through the image, Phantasmagoria, you'll see a picture. It looks like she's about to drink blood or something with a funnel.
I mean,
and it's just
ever seen anything from Phantasmagoria? It's all creepy and weird.
Oh, do you not know the context behind that?
No.
Okay. I don't know. Spoilers? You want spoilers?
I don't know. I kind of like, since Mike has never, you've never even heard of it, have you?
No, I didn't even. I know nothing about it.
Yeah, I kind of want you to go into that
show now.
Yeah, okay. I'll just leave it alone. You guys just play it.
Well, bring it back.
That's like one of the only scenes that I actually know about the game, and it is actually pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's a bizarre game. I'd say look it up at your own risk, Mike, because it's so weird. It's actually, you actually might not want to play it because there's some scenes in it that are a little rough. But we'll figure something out.
All right, and I do have one more question to read from Peter Vusimilo. As you started with number 5, how did you find the in-joke / self-referencing jokes? From memory, the two guys kept it to a minimum in this one, although there are a few that reference back to 4 and 2.
Kept it to a minimum in this game.
Well, I don't know, because it's my first one. I mean, even though I didn't know what the references really were, I mean, I thought that I was still laughing.
Yeah. Well, here's a specific question to that effect. What did you think about when WD-40 gets sent to kill you? Like, did you understand? Like, how did you figure this was coming about? Because that was directly a reference to previous games.
The guy told me.
I just thought they wanted a sexy alien robot that was like a Klingon ship flying like Cylon type character.
Did you wonder why she was trying to kill you?
I didn't wonder anything about this game.
I think that's about enough about this game.
My brain went as far as, oh, hey, they wanted to have boobs in here. They wanted to have robot boobs.
They did it all right. Also, this was a hard game to find screenshots for, because usually I push a lot of screenshots out there. I just couldn't find anything, because this game is funny as you're playing it in motion, is not as funny as still images. It doesn't work. Yes.
Did you post the box art for this game? Because it's pretty good.
Yes. I will be posting it as the image cover and when I promote this episode later in about an hour or two, hopefully.
And the box art, you have a mop, and I was wondering why you had a mop, and now I know.
Because we're playing number 5 of a series.
Yeah. And the robot boobs are on the cover as well.
Yes.
And Drool, or whatever he says his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Drool and Flo.
Yeah.
Flo was the green person on your ship, crew member.
Flo's not on the box art, though.
Oh, okay.
No, but
You're
Spike
right.
is, thankfully.
I like
Spike's
Spike. Spike was cool.
Spike's a weird little creature.
And should we move on to Shelf for Box?
Sure.
All right. I'll go first.
This game is making me stupid.
I think that's lack of sleep, Mick.
It's partially lack of sleep and partially.
You've been up for what? Over 24 hours at this point? Well over that?
More than that.
Yeah. So
let's see, because I was working Saturday night too. So yeah, probably like 48 hours at least.
Yeah. So it's not the game. It's just lack of sleep. See how much we love you guys. We even record when one of us should not be awake.
I haven't starting to sound
like. Stuart's starting to sound like Tim Allen. Like,
Hey, at least he isn't saying itchy, hungry, scratchy yet, so we're okay.
That's true.
At least I'm not smuggling mass amounts of cocaine into Florida. Look it up, people.
Yeah. All right. I think I'll start with Shelf or Box. This one I was a little torn between. Normally, I know I can kind of tell where I'm going. As much as I did enjoy parts of this game, and I'm glad I played it because I've never played a Sierra game before, this is going in the box because I have no reason to play it again. I never want to again. I'm never going to talk about it again probably after this episode. I'm going to forget it ever happened.
You can't claim that this is the first Sierra game you played.
Okay, this is the first Sierra game I've beaten.
This is the first Sierra game I played aside from the single most famous Sierra game of all time.
I don't count Half-Life. Okay, first Sierra adventure game I played. How's that?
Okay, that's fine.
We'll go with that because Half-Life's a completely different thing.
Semantics.
This is going in the box. I never want to play a game. I did have fun. I'm glad I played it for one time, but that's enough. We're good.
It's the first Bungie game I played aside from Halo.
All right, Stefan, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's like other point and click games that I'm more into. As a matter of fact, I'm just not into point and click as is. So like playing this, I even told Mike before we started playing, I'm like, I really don't want to play this game. Yeah, but there's other point and click games that I appreciate more. Like Tim Schafer, like Full Throttle, or like what's the one, the Day of the Tentacle. Those ones I just appreciate.
Day of the Tentacle so many times on the show.
Yeah. I just appreciate those a lot more, and the humor in those just seems to be more thought out, or it's a little bit more darker, whereas this one's a lot of callbacks and a lot of referential jokes, and like there was a couple shining bits, like I said, with Roger's like face sliding on the window in the background, like little things like that were hilarious. But overall, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. It's just not my jam, and I'm gonna put it in the box.
How about you, Rick?
for me, definitely shelf. Just because of the fact that I played it so much when I was a kid, over and over again. It's probably not going to be the last time I ever play it because I am just a fan of the series. And anytime I play it, I can pretty well project back to when I was a teenager. But definitely, I think if I play this game again, it's probably going to be in anticipation of a game called Space Venture coming up. I don't know if you heard about this, but the guys who made Space Quest, they're not allowed to make further Space Quests, so they just decide to work on their own project. So there's like this, they've kickstarted it. They've been a few years in production. I think they're getting pretty close. They've been doing some voice recording for the voice acting, but it's going to be, I'm hesitant to call it a spiritual successor, but it's basically, it's a game about a sci-fi comedy, I'm assuming, by the guys who created Space Quest. So it's called Space Venture. So it's going to be definitely targeted for Space Quest fans. So I think by the time when that comes around, I'm probably going to do a playthrough of the series again. So I'd put it on the shelf, especially since I am actually a big box collector, and I kind of would want that to be on my shelf because that is one that I am kind of looking for if I can find it at a reasonable price, which is no big box game ever anymore.
No, that's
yeah.
I mean, you're looking for stuff that doesn't really exist much anymore, I'm assuming.
Yeah. They do, but by collectors. They're kind of already been, the last couple of years, they've been finding their homes with collectors and people who think, oh, big box is a thing now. I'm going to sell my copy of Space Quest 5 for $200, and it's a piece of shit copy that's like broken apart. So, because people don't understand how things work.
Yeah, and before Stuart eviscerates this game, I apologize, Rick. We have been trashing this game this whole time. It's not a bad game. It's just not a good game.
It's everyone has different opinions, and that's great. It's cool. One of the things that really I was really looking forward to about being on the show. Number one, it's a great show, and I really enjoy it. But it was really cool to hear people who played it for the first time now and seeing how people react to it. Because I totally get Sierra is kind of a very niche within the niche where it's definitely not everyone is going to like it. And we kind of, we've accepted that for a very long time now, that it takes a very specific type to really get into Sierra games the way a lot of the gamers who love Sierra do.
It's like one of those companies where every single game they make exists within a certain niche. Mm-hmm. Like aside from probably Half-Life, almost all their games exist within a very specific. I would say like Half-Life and like Team Fortress, all their games exist within a very specific market.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have all their FMV games and all their point and clicker games, point and click adventure games. But like not Peter Gabriel. Oh, fuck it. All their Peter Gabriel games. Let's just stick with it. I'm very
We
tired.
are going places today.
All their Peter Gabriel games exist for a very specific audience.
Mm-hmm.
Namely people who haven't slept for 48 hours.
That's true.
Stuart, how about you?
Fuck it. I'm just kidding. This game is going in the box for me because no surprise there.
No surprise.
Yeah. I don't think this is a bad game at all. I had some trouble with it, but I don't think the difficulty from this game came from it being a bad game. I think the difficulty came from just trying to figure out how the developers wanted you to beat something. Which, I mean, that is the point of a point-and-click adventure game, and especially something like this where it's supposed to be humorous, so you don't know if the solution to the puzzle is meant to be humorous or if it's meant to be realistic. I liked that. I liked aspects of this game. The biggest downside for me is just some of the humor fell flat, and I some of the like I said, to me it was like what I was worried the Orville was gonna be like before the Orville turned out to be a really good show. Where I was like, this feels like a very early Seth MacFarlane game. There's a lot of fart jokes.
Oh yeah,
a lot of fart jokes, a lot of really immature jokes with some other slapstick type jokes. Some of them hit me. Some of them were pretty funny. I chuckled a couple times, for sure. And then other jokes, I was just like, all right, I'm done with hearing farts. I've heard the fart times.
What? I've always kind of compared Space Quest more to the Red Dwarf.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Never watched Red Dwarf.
Yeah, it's another thing where it's it's not for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's there weren't enough jokes that made me laugh. There was more jokes that kind of like put me off, and they were just kind of annoying to me personally.
There were a lot.
Yeah, I think overall it's a good game, but it's definitely going in my box. It did not hit me enough to put on my shelf.
Okay, that's about what I was expecting before we did this recording.
It's one of the rare games to not go on my shelf.
Yeah, I was debating, but since it's been literally a week since I beat this game, I don't even think about it really. I've kind of forgot a lot of it. I had to kind of read about it before we did this, and I'm like, yeah, I won't even gonna think about this after this recording. Oh, and I think we should. Stu, would you want to introduce what we're playing next week? You can remember?
Oh yeah. Of course.
I'll give you a reminder. Do. Close enough.
Space Quest again?
No. That was my Jurassic Park theme song.
We are really? That was what that was? Okay, now I'm getting it.
Keep going.
Next week, we are playing a game that I have never played and have been wanting to play for a very, very long time because it's a game I know I'll love.
You will.
Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
Yay.
I've already almost beat it as of this recording, but yeah I'm looking forward to talking about it.
I will probably start later in the week because I got a lot of shit to do. But yeah, I'm super excited to finally jump into Dino Crisis.
Oh, and for those that do play along with the show, I want to do something new with this. We're also going to start.
Play along with the show? The fuck is wrong with them?
There's a lot.
Stop doing that. Don't do that.
But next week's episode is Dino Crisis. After that, we're going to play Star Fox 64. I will be posting on Facebook the next 3 games from then on. I used to just do 3 in a block and not say anything for 3 weeks, but now I'm going to start. I'll let you know whatever the next 3 games are going to be.
Did people play Fallout with us?
I don't
Stalker?
know. We were early back then. I don't know about Stalker.
Stalker wasn't too long ago. Don't do that. We play bad games.
Stalker was longer than you think. That was 13 weeks ago.
Jesus Christ, was it really?
Yes. We're on episode 30. We've been doing this for over 6 months.
I'm just always thinking about Stalker at all times. That's probably why.
I think that is why.
24/7, I'm still something about Stalker is in my head.
All right. I think it's time that we'll go out with plugs. And since Rick, you're our guest, you want to give another plug out to your podcast?
Sure. For those who missed it the first time around, www.cggpodcast.com. Easiest way to find us. You can also find us on Facebook. Just do a search for the Classic Gamers Guild. You'll either find the Facebook page for our podcast or the Facebook group for our community. Make sure you answer the 3 questions that we ask you when you try to join. Otherwise, we will refuse you.
Good group.
So thank you. Appreciate that. You can find us on Twitter at the CG Guild. Sorry, I usually have to count to the G's when I say it out loud. If you like the show, share us around. We have a Patreon, but I don't expect anyone to actually pay us money for it. But if you like us, spread the word. We are not nearly as structured or professional as you guys. We're just 2 guys have conversation.
I don't know about that. I've listened to your show.
I appreciate that.
Generous compliment.
No, you guys actually sound like a podcast. We're just 2 guys talking, and we hit record at some point. I kind of
interviews on your show. You've had people. We've had people on the show, but nobody.
We've been a steady decline of diminishing returns.
I'll give this tip to you and everybody out there that is thinking about starting a podcast. The trick is just professional production, and everything outside of production, do whatever the fuck you want. You just have to have like the professional technical production, and outside of that, it's all you.
That is what I
just got to find the right chemistry, and somehow by putting an ad on a Facebook group, I found the right chemistry.
We totally lucked out with Mike, who just loves marketing. Like that's legitimately something that Mike loves, which is pretty rare.
I actually want to apply for a job doing that actual thing, but I haven't done it yet.
Sorry, I do feel bad now because I do have a very self-deprecating sense of humor, and it's not fair to my co-host Paul or any of the guests that we've had in the last little while to just totally run down the show like that. Generally I'm not going to go around and tell you like, oh, it's a great show, come listen to us. But at the same time, no, I am being deliberately a bit of a jerk. But
no, I do the same thing where I'll be like, yeah, I'm in a podcast sometimes. And I was like, really? I'm in a podcast sometimes. I've been helping host a podcast for 6 months. That's really how that sentence should go. I'm a permanent host.
You're the co-host. I mean, you and Stefan are my co-hosts. I mean, I couldn't do this without you guys.
But I'll be like,
I sometimes forget.
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm on a podcast. Oh wait, it's Sunday. We gotta record.
So I was like, what were you editing this weekend? I was like, oh, a podcast. They're like, oh, you help edit a podcast? And I was like, oh, I guess I'm on a podcast. I'm just on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Oh, and give another quick shout out to the Zach and Dean Geek Machine, the podcast for geeks of all background. So if the show notes, there'll be a link in the show notes. I also mentioned at the beginning of the show, so please go take a listen to their show too. And before I forget, because I always do, I want to give it a shout out to Mike Stoney, aka Balby, for the song "Cool Kid Squad." It's our intro and outro off his EP "Bite the Bullet." You also find the link to his YouTube channel in the show notes.
That was the most structured that it's ever.
Yes, it was. I was really thinking about it before I did it. I was like, I'm gonna say it right.
I don't know why you don't just like make me or Stefan do it.
I don't know. It's becoming one of our many jokes in the show that we keep. And that's one of them where who knows how it's going to come out? It's just going to come out.
Every episode is different.
It's all the information's there.
All the information's there. It's just worded
and also, if you're still here somehow, because you maybe couldn't change the channel as you're driving, because Minnesota's the new law if you're listening to Minnesota. We also, if you get a chance, please take a listen to our Republic Commando episode. That is our top downloaded episode with over 200 downloads at the moment. So please, if you like this and you haven't listened to it, take a listen to it. People seem to love it.
You can't change the station on your phone in Minnesota, but you can drink in the back of a car in Minnesota.
In Minnesota, they just passed a law in August where if you have your hands on your phone, you can be pulled over and given a ticket, or even if so. So it's a new law they just passed. They're making a big deal about it now.
See, we've had that forever.
Yeah, we didn't because we're not,
See, we also have that law, but also nobody gives a shit. But yeah, when I was in Minnesota, I was freaking out because we went to. First of all, I went to the grocery store to get liquor, which was already very weird to me.
You don't want to do it in Minnesota.
Well, that's what we did.
Because the beer you're drinking wasn't regular beer. It's called 3-2 beer. It has more water than beer.
I think we went to Total Wine, maybe.
Okay, Total Wine, you're fine.
Yeah, people were like had drinks in the back of the car, and I was freaking out because I'm from Virginia. And I was like, what the fuck are you people doing? And they're like, what? And I was like, we're going to get pulled over. We're going to go to jail. We're going to get DUIs. Because in Virginia, if you're drinking in the back of a car, if you have an open container, everybody in the car can get a DUI.
I think Wisconsin might be the same.
If there's alcohol within reach of the driver, everybody in the car can get a DUI. We're very strict on that.
You can't even do any of that in Phoenix at all. You will get pulled over for even looking at a beer.
Well, we were driving
people
out of Total Wine, and I had like a beer or like a Jack and Coke or something in the back seat of this car, and we got pulled over, and I was like sweating bullets, freaking out, and the cop comes up and like taps on the window. The driver rolls the window down. It's just like, hey, how y'all doing? Just want to let you know your taillight's out. All right, bye. Have a nice day. And I get in the back like crying. I'm like, I can't go to jail.
And for the record, some people do talk like that in Minnesota. Because I don't use y'all, but I use ya a lot as part of my talking.
I was so disappointed because I went to 2DCon in Minneapolis and nobody had a Minnesota accent. It was one of the most disappointing things until I went to the gas station across the street, and I walked in and the guy was like, "Oh, how you doing?" And I was like, "Yes."
I'm also got to travel more northern Minnesota. Like if you go up to the Duluth, Two Harbors, which is like 2 hours from the Twin Cities where you were at. The funny thing is, I almost went to that 2DCon. I didn't go, but I thought about it.
Yeah, I was in the same city as you for a brief period of time. And
it's funny, we hadn't met yet either.
We hadn't met yet, yeah. This was pre-podcast. I was with I was with Katrina from Overblood, and I learned that the drunker Katrina got, the more her Minnesota accent came out. So I was just getting Katrina drinks. So I was like, I love this.
Is Minnesota like if people in Minnesota, when they say Magnum, do they say Magnum?
I don't think no.
That's like an northeastern thing. Magnum.
Okay. Yeah. Or eggs instead of eggs.
Just so you know, none of this is getting edited out, by the way.
That's like a Philadelphia, New England thing, yeah.
Magnum. All right, I think we should wrap up the show because I need to edit this and publish it within the next hour.
And then we have a weird fucking accent down here. It's like
Also, as I just said about Star Wars, Stalker is also at 200. So if you're listening to this and have listened to those episodes, please take a listen to both of those.
Just everybody listen to Stalker. Let's just have.
Because you never want to play Stalker. Because Stalker was you don't ever want to play Stalker.
Don't listen to any of our episodes. Just listen to Stalker. Let's be like a low tier podcast with one episode of 1,000 downloads.
We're getting there. All right. And you can follow us on Facebook. I'm constantly posting new images for whatever upcoming game we're going to be doing, other than Space Quest 5. I couldn't find anything. And also, please follow us on Instagram. We also have a...
This is the longest.
We have a Snapchat. We have a Snapchat. I don't know what it is. I don't use it, but we have a Snapchat.
We have a Snapchat. You don't know what it is.
It's game my mom found.
This
and
is
we also
the
on
longest
Instagram,
ending
Twitter.
to the show we've ever had.
Yes, it is. We just started talking. All right, everyone, have a wonderful night.
We
also got sneakers. We also got this.